Very beautiful greetings. Very good afternoon. Free Master here speaking. Let's spend 10 minutes trying to understand what's going on, right? First, the objective fact to defend a foreign country, to defend the interests of a foreign country that illegally, illegitimately attacked another nation. President of the United States. You committed an act of war against a sovereign nation. That's all. Summary of the story is this. The President of the United States, to defend a foreign nation, committed an act of war against a sovereign nation. All right? Now, obviously, this is going to have consequences, right? This will have consequences. The obvious one will have consequences. Let's try to understand this. What are the consequences? One thing, however, that I want to talk about, and I really need to touch on this point, I really need to talk about it. It's about the nature of the U.S. attack on Iran, right? At first, it was said that this attack was carried out from B-2 bombers, B-2, huh? So it was a very March thing, a thing. Wow, Our Lady, right? Of power. Only, apparently, they didn't have the courage to attack Iran with OB-2. They took the submarine. What do you think of this Armchair thread? He says the following. I will read it there for these leaders. It appears that it was really a mere low-impact submarine attack. Clearly there was an attack. Other State Department officials stated that 30 Tomahawks were launched from sub-skies and 60 NOPs were used by B-2s. I see no reason to accept this connection as absolute truth, in the absence of any evidence. As a first step, the attack went completely unnoticed. Come in the usual nightly exchange of fire between Iran and Israel until Trump made his announcement. There were some reports of air defense activity and isolated explosions, but nothing to suggest a major attack, and videos have emerged of what appear to be some cruise missiles hitting their target in the desert with no explosions or secondary fires. Viruses that have previously circulated have shown large fires and explosions from these locations. Was it misinformation or clickbait? The attack, as the Department of Defense source claimed to have occurred and as the Department of Defense will likely officially claim tomorrow, bizarrely combined the lowest and highest risk attack methods, cruise addiction launched by submarines and multiple B-2s penetrating central Iran. To drop gravity bombs at a heavily defended location with the need to leave hundreds of kilometers of airspace alerted later, i.e. if you see who enter hundreds of kilometers inside Iran only to bomb back. But no radar picked it up. No radar. Wow, huh? I don't know why OB2 is invisible. I start, of course, just like I'm invisible EOB2, right? But anyway, let's move on. Perhaps the Air Force really had the courage and ability to do this, although considering that they refused to risk B-2 in the IM previously, in which the Israel Self-Defense Forces conducted, was the campaign so far almost entirely with internal drone munitions. Because the Iranian air defense network is not such at all. I doubt it. Now allow me to draw your attention to a few. Numerological coincidences, say 30 Thomas Hawks and 100 MOP S-36 projectiles in total. Note that attack submarines in the United States craft 12 Thomas Hawks is 13 vertical launch, and the inside Pentagon source made a critical mistake. They specified that the submarines in the plural participated in the attack, so 3 attack submarines. They could have released 36 projects together, so it wasn't one of Ohio's conversions, right? getting 3 attack submarines in position would have trivialized those reconnaissances. We formed this over the previous weeks. My theory for tonight, I think it was a low-risk, low-impact attack conducted entirely with submarine-launched cruise mass, and the Department of Defense is simply lying. Over the involvement of heavy bombers for mere propaganda purposes, the Tomahawk are accurate enough to damage the bank entrance and cause the same kind of disruptive damage that a MOP attack could realistically cause in such an incredibly fortified location as Fordall. Damage to underground facilities at locations other than the bank entrance, however, is unlikely. Here, they're not bank-busting ammo. There may be a number of damaged above-ground buildings in the same distributed, although given the lack of observed fires, this also seems somewhat unlikely at this time. Oh, Leda, what about those fires? You're okay. We've seen this happen many times. Which Trump lawyer here? I believe he is trying to rescue Netanyahu from the consequences of his own imbecile decision to start a war with Iran that he manifestly was unable to end, and do it in a way that the Iranians won't necessarily be forced to respond. But they answered thoughtfully at last, as the American taxpayer and former Defense Department official sincerely hopes it wasn't a more impressive piece that the United States Army managed to organize a week in advance. And that reflects deliberate restraint rather than a complete lack of ability or willingness to take risks, certainly. The Iranian relationship to the attack so far has been one of disapproval rather than anger, with denial of significant or even low damage. Let's hope it stays that way, because it could get worse very soon. People metane, he committed a stupid thing, but a stupid thing, such a big stupid thing, such a stupid act. And now he's got no way out. He's got nothing to do. What's he going to do? You know what he's going to do? He has nothing to do. The truth is that someone needs to save the finger from the rectum. And that's where our colleague Donald Trump came in, right? That's when Donald Trump's colleague stepped in to try to save. The good with Netanyahu to burn, but evidently it didn't work out. In fact, Iran itself launched devastating attacks on Tel Aviv overnight, right? Very heavy attacks. We have videos of it here, very heavy attacks. Let me see if I can show you some of these attacks that Iran's dynamic republic launched in retaliation for what you suffered, right? Let me see if I can show it here quickly here, just for a moment here. I can see if it's just, you have to share the screen, right? Just a moment, share the screen. Here we will share the screen. Let me show you the images that we have. Right here, this here too, Screen Fire Lives. These are the rescuers. It's showing up a lot of boats in Chile saying, no, friend, I'm not friends with people, right? You walked yesterday and, buddy, what do you mean? These are images, in fact, from Syria. That must be why the writing in these guys' school is Hebrew writing, right? Because, right, the writing they use in Syria, so the boats are numerous. They are desperate. You have to use so many boats, people, if the boat costs money. You know, this guy doesn't do the service for free, and boats cost money. They're doing it. It's because they are, in fact, desperate. They're desperate, right? Desperate for what? Desperate at the size of the trouble they got themselves into. That's the truth, and that's it.